Judge has done it. 62 home runs, and in the second to last game of the season. That's the biggest thing. And ironically, the Yankees end up with 99 wins this season. Kind of fitting, considering that this really was the Aaron Judge season. In all likelihood, will win the AL MVP. Didn't win the Triple Crown. Luis Ariz finished at 316, and Judge, I believe, finished at 311, which is still amazing. But Aaron Judge against Jesus Tinoco, I believe, was the pitcher who gave up the home run to Aaron Judge in the second game of a doubleheader. And it was getting interesting. I mean, it was getting to the point where it looked like he might not do this, which, who knows what that could have done. I think there would have been like a definite level of disappointment. And Tinoco will go down in history as the one who gave up the home run to Judge. And, this is the American League record, and it really is the clean record as well. I guess, it works out well that all of the steroid, users were all National League players. So it kind of works out where, Judge does win the American League record any way you look at it, obviously. And what's amazing is that, no one was even close to Aaron Judge. Like, in terms of, this wasn't like a year where home runs were all over the place. It really, like Kyle Schwarber, I guess, went on a bit of a tear late. But even he was, what did Kyle Schwarber end up with? He had to have been at least 45. He'd have been at least 15 homers behind Judge. And then even there's a big drop off after Schwarber. Schwarber had 46 homers, so 16 homers behind Judge. And then even after that, like, again, what he did was simply remarkable. And it was clutch that he got it done because, he had gotten 60. At that point, it was like, all right, like, it's a matter of when. And it took him a little bit to get 61, and then it took him a bit to get 62, but he gets it done at Texas. And the Yankees, they win the first two games of the series, and they lose the next two in the series. And we're going to go through, what happened in these games. But again, similar to the last Orioles series, it doesn't really matter so much. Sort of, strategy and things like that aren't important. It was really about getting relievers work, certain hitters, trying different things out, experimentation, as I said. And what we know now is that the Yankees will face the winner of the Cleveland Guardians Tampa Bay Rays series, which will be interesting. Both will be challenging in their own right. I would say both teams, their bread and butter is the pitching, which is tough. I mean, look, pitching is paramount come playoff time. I wouldn't say that either team has an imposing offense, but definitely some good players in each lineup. As I look at it, I guess I would, and I have respect for Cleveland, definitely, but I think I would prefer Cleveland, not strongly though, and I think that if that series goes the full 3 games, probably even better. Let them exert as much energy and use as many pitchers as possible. So I think the best case scenario is it goes 3, and I think Cleveland, look, we know that Tampa Bay is certainly not afraid to go to New York and win baseball games. That we know. With Cleveland, that's a question mark. It truly is. The Yankees have had pretty good success against Cleveland in recent years. Just this year, they went 5-1 against Cleveland. Against Tampa, they went 11-8. The Rays beat the Yankees in 2020 in the DS in San Diego. And the Yankees, a very memorable series victory against Cleveland in 2017 in the ALDS, where Cleveland was up 2-0 in the series. The Yankees fought their way back and won the next 3 to win it in that best of 5. So, recent history would dictate. And also, the Yankees beat Cleveland in 2020 before they lost to Tampa in that original, it was the weird COVID year. The Yankees, in a best of 3, won 2 games at Cleveland. So again, there's been success. And look, sometimes it's a law of averages things and things are due to change. But my slight leaning and preference would be Cleveland, although this iteration of the Tampa Bay Rays is not quite as strong as it's been in recent years. They've never really been known as being an offensive juggernaut, but really this year I think it's even worse than it has been. Cleveland is the hotter team right now, but Tampa Bay a little bit more battle-tested. They've made the playoffs the last few years. I think every year since about maybe even going back to 18, maybe not, at least since 19. the Rays have made the playoffs. So either way, it'll be interesting. But now that's set, and we'll see where it goes. The Yankees, they'll be starting up Tuesday, October 11th with Game 1 at Yankee Stadium, and it'll be exciting to see what happens. I really, as far as who starts Game 1, it seems like it will be Garrett Cole. I wish it wouldn't be. It's not the end of the world if it is, and he's a bit of he's a head case, Garrett Cole. He really is, which is not what you want from your supposed ace. But I think that he would fare better at Yankee Stadium. But for me, I'd rather Cole pitch Game 2. But in some ways, look, Game 2 could be viewed as bigger than game. I mean, again, they're all worth the same. But maybe Cole in Game 1 is a good thing. It's the furthest away from elimination games. However, it allows Cole to pitch again in the series, and that's what sucks. That's the biggest thing. It's not so much Cole pitching Game 1. It's that then Cole would then be lined up to potentially pitch a Game 4 or a Game 5. Whereas if he somehow pitched Game 2, there is the possibility that you don't see Cole again in the series. Again, he has it within him to pitch well, but it's hard to fully trust him, especially when Nestor Cortez and Luis Severino, perfect segue, and Luis Severino are pitching the way they're pitching. So Game 1 of the series, Severino throws 7 no-hit innings. 94 pitches, goes 7 no-hit, and looked amazing. So really a very good end of the season for Luis Severino. He finishes with a 3.18 ERA. Now he was hurt for a few months, but now he's fresh and ready to go. And Sevy, a really nice bounce back year for a pitcher who really wasn't involved. I mean, you really think about it, Luis Severino really wasn't. I mean, we saw him in the 2019 playoffs. However, if memory serves me correct, he was hurt basically that entire season and came back later on. So we really haven't seen Sevy since like 2018. In a close to full workload. Again, I know that he's sad, but Sevy, this was encouraging in terms of what he could provide in the future as well. So, Judge still on that hunt and unsuccessful, but Giancarlo Stanton, looking like signs of life from Stanton is key. And we did see that in this series with a couple of home runs. And so let's get into this. The lineups were different and weird. And, DJ was involved in this series, and he looks okay, but certainly far from great. So I don't know where things go with DJ and what his postseason future holds, but we'll see. But as far as the Yanks are concerned, Severino versus Martin Perez, the lefty, on the mound for the Texas Rangers. And the Yanks get on the board first in the 5th, thanks to a Kyle Higashioka RBI single. Now, let's talk about this. The Yankees' catcher production this year was really good, considering that's not a position that gets a whole lot of offense. Higashioka really ended off the season strong. And he ends up with a 227 batting average, which is, better than last year where he was 181. And this is the most that Kyle Higashioka has ever played. Got off to a really rough start, but picked it up. And like I said, he was really, really bad. But he's closed the gap between him and Jose Trevino. Like Higgy, if he were to play in a postseason game, you don't mind it as much anymore. Now, Trevino is a superior defender to Higgy. It's not that Higgy's bad defensively, but Trevino, I'd still prefer him. But my point is that if it got to the point where Higgy made a start in the postseason, I'm not really all that concerned. Like that's some crazy downgrade from Trevino. Good job by Higashioka, where it looked like, I don't know, maybe Higgy, maybe it doesn't make sense that he would be the backup in the future, but he certainly came back around, and I think he kind of needed to, even though it wasn't like a talking point. Higgy was excellent in this series and really has been down the last month or so. But Higgy gets that RBI single, gives the Yanks a 1-0 lead. And then, like I said, Sevy goes no hit for 7 innings. But 94 pitches. They want to get him out of there. It makes sense. In the 8th, interestingly enough, off of Jonathan Hernandez, a couple of homers for the Yanks, but not Judge. Marlon Gonzalez homers. Then Judge strikes out, and then Stanton homers. It's his 30th homer of the year. So unfortunately, at that time, no Judge, even though right around him there was a couple of home runs. Miguel Castro comes on, his first outing in a while, and but Castro was not great in these games. So could he land on the postseason roster? I guess, but really, I don't think he really showed out. And so Castro, the first at bat was good. He struck out Adolis Garcia. Like, he's got filthy stuff, but it's a matter of can he harness it. It's not quite like Chapman levels, but it's a similar situation where stuff exists, but the walks are just too much. And then the no-hitter, the no-hitter goes away. Castro gives up a single with 1 out in the 8th, so that's it for that. Eventually, an RBI ground out by Cole Calhoun makes it 3-1, but Castro, nothing more than that. And then at the bottom of the 9th, Scott Effross goes 1-2-3. And Effross, I think, should be a big player in this bullpen, considering what is available. I think Effross will be a very important piece out of the pen. So the Yanks win game 1, 3-1. Game 2, doubleheader. And it's Jameson Taillon versus John Gray. I didn't think this was a great start by Jameson Taillon, but it was kind of typical for him, where in Taillon's bad outings, he keeps them in the game. And so Taillon, it's a healthy season. That's amazing. Coming off, an ankle injury, and he's had an injured past with Pittsburgh. For Jameson Taillon to kind of stick with it and be, able to post, every 5 days, or so, is impressive, and he deserves credit for that. So Taillon, didn't think he had a great outing. I do think that he's likely your game 4 starter. Some could argue Domingo Germán, but I think Germán has the ability to be a weapon out of the bullpen. So I think Taillon is more likely that default game 4 starter, which is okay. But wasn't great in this one. And in this game, it was the Oswaldo. I don't know what the right word for them are. They're the Oswald twins, Cabrera and Peraza, both homer in this game. And those two, Cabrera, we know is going to be in that lineup come playoff time, which is good. And Oswald Peraza 100% deserves to be on the postseason roster. In fact, he should be starting. He really should be. Now, will he be? No, which is a shame. But get him on that roster. If nothing else, is just a pinch runner. I want him to be a possibility to be used, because I got to say, I think that he's better than a lot of the guys in that infield. I'm not going to name names, but I think that Oswald Peraza, he's just simply better. So you get a home run by Cabrera in the first. Then in the bottom of the first, Taillon struggles. You get it's considered a 2-run single by Josh Jung, but Marwin Gonzalez just didn't throw the ball in. I don't know why he didn't, but after Marwin did make a really nice defensive play earlier in the inning, Marwin kind of falls asleep on that one, and 2-run score. So it's 2-1, but the Yankees come right back, and it's Oswald Peraza, his first career home run as well. I should mention that. Peraza, first career homer, ties it up at 2. Then we go to the 5th, and Marwin Gonzalez gets an RBI single, makes it 3-2, but Taillon gives up a 2-run homer to Adolis Garcia, gives Texas a 4-3 lead. Interestingly enough, Chapman does pitch a good 7th, and I feel, I don't like this, but I feel like he's going to make the postseason roster. It was a 1-2-3 inning. Injuries are abound. I should mention that Ron Marinaccio will not be back. That shin injury will cost him time. He won't be back until at earliest in the ALCS. So the pitchers are kind of dropping like flies, and I feel like Chapman is going to just find his way into that roster. But I do trust that he won't pitch in key spots, but never say never. You don't know where a game might turn. So Chapman, good inning. Then in the 8th, Kyle Higashioka, 10th homer of the year, ties it up. And then the Yankees take the lead. Harrison Bader, RBI single. I have not been impressed by Harrison Bader at the plate, but I will say this: he's been clutch. When Bader has gotten hits, it seems to be in big situations, and it's kind of the opposite of Aaron Hicks, where Aaron Hicks never comes through in the big spot. So Bader makes it 5-4. Greg Weissert, who was up as the 29th man, it doesn't seem like Weissert's a real possibility for the postseason roster. I mean, there's probably scenarios in which we might eventually see him, but it doesn't feel that way. And Weissert does pitch a 1-2-3 8th. And then in the 9th, Loaizaga comes on. And, I know people are talking up Loaizaga. There wasn't a bigger fan of Jonathan Loaizaga than me last year. But I continue to say that it's more out of lack of options. Like Jonathan Loaizaga, he is not some sort of ninth inning closer. Like, and I don't think that they view him that way, but like, I personally have more faith in Scott Efros, um, Lou Trevino. Again, this might differ for some people, but even Wandy Peralta, like just in terms of that clutch factor. Now, but look, I like him. I just think that the way people are talking about him, I don't really, the strikeout stuff is not there. I know he's a sinker ground ball pitcher, but like there used to be strikeout ability. He's having trouble putting players away. Luckily, he gets bailed out. A really bad bit of base running by Leody Taveras. And so he gets doubled off to end the game after he had a leadoff single. So the Yankees win at 5-4. And at this point, they really, the hope is that Aaron Judge can hit number 62. He still hadn't done it yet. And so forgetting about win totals or anything like that, would it have been nice to have seen the Yankees win 100 games? Yes, but it meant nothing to the team. The Yankees in the Baltimore series and the Texas series, winning was not paramount. And that makes sense. Like it does nothing. Like at the end of the day, you want to put yourself in the best position to succeed in the postseason. And so experimenting might lead to losses in the regular season, but these games, their standing was not going to move. So you understand why. And again, Judge hitting the 62nd home run was bigger than anything else at this point. And in the first inning, he does it. Aaron Judge hits number 62 to left field. It wasn't a no-doubter, but when he hit it, you felt good about it. And it goes out, and what a moment. It's amazing that he actually did this. It'll be a long time until someone breaks this record. I mean, look, do I think it'll happen again? I do. Will I be alive to see it? Maybe. But I think that, it'll take a while. It'll take a while because, again, the game always changes. There might be an era in the near future which sees a lot more home runs. I wouldn't be completely shocked by it, but still, 60. I mean, this hadn't happened. Even if we want to include the steroid guys, it hadn't happened in about 20 years. So just incredible that Aaron Judge does it. A magical season for Judge, and he would get one more at bat, and then they would take him out, get a nice ovation. He would strike out on the second at bat. You go out to the field, they take him out, and and he didn't play the last game either. He's been playing a lot lately, so now he'll get about a week's rest until the postseason. So Garrett calling them out for the Yankees. He does. I mean, and this is a big deal. It is. He breaks the single-season Yankee strikeout record, which Ron Guidry held. Cole ends up with how many strikeouts this year? What, 257 or 267? Cole ends up with 257, which is amazing. And like it's not a matter of Garrett Cole. It's a mental thing with Garrett Cole. It's not a matter of ability. It is, and it's you kind of hope that Garrett Cole would. And look, he is a. It's not to say that like he wants the ball. He is that person that wants the ball. He wants to be in the moment, but look, he lets things get away from him, and the home run ball destroys him. Like it's almost as if at this point he's going to give up at least one home run in each outing. Like that's just a given. At least one, and two is definitely possible. Also, he only allows one homer in this one. It was an okay outing, but again, I still trust Nestor Cortez more than Garrett Cole. And Severino, I guess, as well. But certainly Nestor. But again, Cole, I'm down on him, but he does break that strikeout record, which is that needs its time to be spoken about. That was a long-standing record. Well, I'll say this about Garrett Cole. He's been completely healthy the first 3 years. It's not easy for a pitcher like him. He's been able to stay out there, hasn't been on the shelf at all. Like, he keeps himself in good shape, very regimented like that. So, Cole, that's part of that record is accumulating, but the strikeout stuff is always there. He's always good for, it feels like at least 7 or 8 strikeouts an outing. I know that's not true, but, anyway, Cole, it's Judge's night, but Garrett Cole also gets involved in the history action. And so in the first, though, he does allow a RBI single to Adolis Garcia, ties the game up after. That's the frustrating thing, that when the Yankees took the lead in this game was when Cole gave up his runs right after. So in the fifth, Giancarlo Stanton homers. It's his 31st homer of the season. And so for Stanton, ends off the year on a high note. It was really ugly, but maybe he's getting hot at the right time. And Giancarlo Stanton is a major piece to this postseason equation. So the Yankees go up 2-1, but then Cole gives up the homer. And it was a Josh Donaldson error that started it out. And Donaldson's defense has been really good. Don't get me wrong. But his defense needs to be impeccable. But the way he's hitting, he needs to be flawless defensively. I'm sorry. Josh Donaldson, it was a massively disappointing season on the offensive side. Defensively, I can't say it enough. Like, honestly, Gold Glove caliber. Like, I'm sure he won't win it. But, like, really excellent. Like, arm-wise, glove-wise, range, you name it. You know, considering his age, like, he didn't lose a step defensively, but he really did offensively. Again, error by Donaldson, and eventually you get a 2-run homer by Taveras, gives Texas a 3-2 lead. Cole would go 6. Clark Schmidt comes on in the 7th, pitches a 1-2-3. I would expect to see Clark Schmidt in the postseason roster. What his exact role will be, to be determined. And then Schmidt would actually pitch the 8th as well. So Clark Schmidt goes 7 and 8. Good job by him. Pitched well here. A pretty good season for Clark Schmidt when he was up. And the Yankees do lose 3-2. You know, they took Judge out of this game. Again, winning was not really something that was important. And so now we head to the final game. Domingo Germán versus former Yankee pitcher Glenn Otto, former Yankee prospect. He was traded in the Joey Gallo deal. And like I said, I think Texas got some decent pieces in that Joey Gallo trade. Are they going to be stars? Probably not, but I think some solid players. Domingo Germán finishes off what was a pretty good year. This game wasn't great for Domingo. You know, what you like about him is he pounds the strike zone. You know, it's kind of similar to Tyone. It's a little bit different. But it's Tyone and Germán. They don't get that many strikeouts, but they really throw strikes. They don't walk too many batters. Germán definitely is susceptible to the home run ball. Always has been. Really always has been. So it's kind of like Cole-like in that sense. But Germán, ran into some trouble later on in this game. But like I said, I think Germán is deserving of having a role in the bullpen of some sort. No Judge, no Stanton in this game. I should also mention Gleyber Torres did not play in this series under the weather. So Gleyber, you hope he's fine by the postseason, but he was definitely feeling it. I mean, we didn't even see Gleyber in the dugout, so he wasn't able to experience the Judge 62nd home run. But anyway, Yankees, Texas, the last game of the season for the Yanks, and they take a lead in the second inning. Kyle Higashioka RBI single. Again, Higgy continuing to be hot at the plate. And then in the third inning, Texas ties it up, a home run by Charlie Culberson, a solo shot. Then in the fourth, Jose Trevino back in Texas for the first time, homers. So Trevino with 11, so he does end up with one more homer than Higgy. Higgy tied him, and then Trevino went ahead of him to finish it off. And then in the bottom of the half of the inning, Jonah Heim homers off of Germán, ties it up at 2. And then in the bottom of the fifth, defensive miscue by Aaron Hicks, who, for me, Aaron Hicks, like, he's going to be on the roster in the postseason, but I do not want to see him in any big spots. He's not a good fielder. He's not a good hitter. Like, he's just there because he's been there. He's one of the longest tenured Yankees. It's really what it is. And there's injuries. Like, if Andrew Benintendi was healthy, there's a real chance that Aaron Hicks would not be on the postseason roster. I really believe that. So Aaron Hicks with an error. And then it's a Bubba Thompson RBI double where Josh Donaldson doesn't really make a great play. And so that gives the Texas a 3-2 lead. And then you get a Marcus Semien RBI single, 4-2. Eventually, Germán's out. Albert Abreu comes on and finishes out the inning. Abreu, who was on Texas earlier this season. Abreu, this was his first outing since he was injured. And I don't expect to see Abreu on the postseason roster, but we did see Abreu in this game. And then Miguel Castro comes on, and there were struggles, a lot of walks, but he's able to pitch a scoreless 6th. But then, he pitches a scoreless 6th, but it wasn't pretty. And then Lou Trevino, 1-2-3 7th. Again, Trevino is someone who, in my little circle of trust, bullpen-wise, Trevino is in it, definitely. And then in the 8th, Lucas Licky, who he kind of reminds you of Marwin Marlon Gonzalez and Lucas Licky were on the roster all season, but what is their value in the postseason? I don't know. And I think that both will make the postseason roster. You know, in part because they were on the team all year, where it's like you're almost doing them dirty, like taking them off. But look, I don't think they care about that. So it's not so much that, I guess, but it's more, you know, Licky has done a serviceable job this season. I suppose could fill a role, and there's a lot of injuries. So, you know, Licky struggles a lot in this eighth inning, but is able to actually come out of it scoreless. And then the Yankees go down to the ninth, and that's the end of the season. Yankees finish 99-63, and the postseason will begin. The postseason will begin in like less than a week, and we will find out whether it will be against the Tampa Bay Rays and the Cleveland Guardians. I'm excited to see what happens. Predictions wise, I think that the Yankees find a way to get out of the ALDS. I do. I don't think it'll be easy. It may even take 5 games to do it. Hopefully not, but it might. And then I think if the Astros are waiting there in the CS, like that's just going to be, it's what the Yankees have to get past. And I don't know. I don't believe that they're capable of it. But maybe that Yankee success that we saw earlier in the season comes back around. Again, the Yankees were a special team for the first half of the season. They were really rolling, and then it got ugly, and they picked it back up in September, which was good. Like it was a horrible August. It wasn't. I mean, after a middling July, but in September they got it back going. Finished off on a high note, but you know, I think that for me, look, you know, as much as I'd love to beat the Astros, realistically, it'd be nice for the Blue Jays or the Mariners to knock the Astros off before it gets there, and then the Yankees continue to have home field advantage. But I think, realistically speaking, I still think we're looking at an Astros-Yankees ALCS, but we'll get there when we get there. ALDS is upon us, and now the real stuff begins. Postseason begins, and we'll be doing episodes after each game. Whereas, you know, here it was series recaps. We will be doing game-by-game recaps. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be intense, and this is what it's all about. So, luckily, the Yankees will be playing more postseason games than last year, so that's a plus already. But you know, there's definitely higher hopes for that, and you know, it's going to be crazy. So hopefully, October turns into November, but we'll see what happens. And again, New York Yankees regular season's finished, 99 wins, which is fitting because of Aaron Judge.